Don't you worry, I'm here. I'm I'm right on time. I feel like well, I suppose you could say I'm like 10 seconds late, but if you haven't been part of my live streams, I am here to talk about a topic that I'd planned to do this so long ago. In fact, I had left it for so long I had forgotten I even had the notes for it. And in fact, they were condensed by one of my friends into an email, and I made this video specifically, whether you believe it or not, after watching Marisha Ray on Critical Role. So you will find the start time for this video down in the description. The live stream goes unlisted and it will be available for patrons, but you can watch the edited version when I finally get around to editing it. I'm pretty good at doing my editing jobs on these videos, so you should be able to get hold of it if you aren't able to hang around for the whole live stream. But the Q&A will be gone with the edited version. Now, normally, if you haven't been part of my live streams, is I present everything first and then I open it up for questions and answers at the end of the live stream. How's it going, Scott? Hi, Bolton. Don't worry about it. I will explain a lot of things as we go. And how's it going, Matt? Okay, all right. So we are ready to go. The sound seems to be working fine. And let's have a bit of fun. Let's do some educating, shall we? Because I'm one of those people who do believe that ball bearings do have a use, and I think that Marisha Ray is onto something. So let's talk about it, shall we? And I'll just make sure I'm all lined up, ready to go. Whoop, hang on, that doesn't work. Got to make sure you can actually see my face first, and then we flick over to that image so I can do the transition. And therefore I can then concentrate a little bit more on the presentation rather than where my eyes are looking and where my face is pointing. This is part of the reason why I don't do all of that nowadays. Okay. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5e because I always talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Okay, so the topic for today is Marisha Ray right about ball bearings? Whoa, who is Marisha Ray? Well, for anybody who doesn't know, and I find that hard to imagine, but if you don't know, if you've been watching something like Critical Role, which is a live streamed game played by a number of voice actors who are pretty good at playing the game, Marisha Ray is the wife of the Dungeon Master, Matt Mercer. And she has been playing in his games for quite a while. And she's been absolutely convinced during her play of the game that the concept of using ball bearings in Dungeons & Dragons is super useful. And she's constantly pulling them out and trying to use them. Now, I think Marisha Ray is onto something. Unfortunately for Marisha, her luck has been appalling. And her application has really hit quite a few snags along the way. And I feel really bad for the fact that she's gone to so much work and she uses them so much. And you can see Matt Mercer really sort of having a squirming as he knows that nothing seems to work for her. So Marisha, this video is for you to help you out and all of those people out there who are ball bearing lovers. That's right, if you are a ball bearing lover, this video is for you. Now, I knew that I could not answer this question on my own. So I approached the Dungeons & Dragons community and I asked on Facebook, look, what are some uses for your ball bearings? How can you apply them in the game and make them useful in some way? I got some good results and I got some not so good results. The funny ones, I will still include some of them, and some of these are definitely legit. So they're not just me making stuff up and seeing if I can get a laugh out of you. So I have actually done a bit of homework. We've got some material for you, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so first off, when it comes to ball bearings, and you need to make sure you start out with a magnet. Keep a magnet, because you're going to need that magnet to keep all the ball bearings together. It will also help you pick up the ball bearings or collect your ball bearings when you drop them on the ground and you're finished using them and you need to try to recollect them. Otherwise, you go and buy another bag of ball bearings. Look, ball bearings aren't expensive. They cover an area of about 10 feet by 10 feet if you spread out all of the ball bearings in the bag. So it's not too bad. That's pretty good. And it makes it difficult terrain, and you've got to make a saving throw to try and move across that space. The saving throw is not very high, but it's still going to be difficult. Slows down movement, might allow you to escape, making you faster than your enemy, at least when they're moving through that space. Okay, so make sure you have that magnet ready to go. So I've been told that it's really useful for checking the incline or decline on a hard surface. So what you do is you place one ball bearing on the surface, and you can see where the incline is, where the ball will run off. Sometimes this can be useful with regard to traps that you might encounter, particularly if you're dealing with a boulder trap, because usually there needs to have some sort of incline on the passage for the boulder to roll down. So you can place that on a surface, particularly a long passage where you think you might be walking into a very nasty trap. You can also place this rather handy tool on the top of a staircase. Now make sure it's got a hard surface, a hard wooden surface, a hard stone or rock surface, maybe marble, something like that. So place it at the top of the stairs or near the top of the stairs, or in a very, very narrow doorway, so that if somebody comes to the stairs, they stand on the ball bearings and away they go. They're going to have a bit of a tumble. Somebody's going to need medical insurance for that. Do Dungeons and Dragons adventurers actually have medical insurance? I have no idea. You can paint these things pink and then sell them to people as everlasting gobstoppers. If you've been watching something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And they will be convinced that they will last forever. Will they actually taste nice? I don't know that they will. I think this was really just trying to make a quick buck out of something that's not terribly tasty or useful. But anyway, doesn't matter. You can use them to counterbalance when you're weighing a small item. So if you have a set of scales and you need something to use as as weights on the other side, you can use your ball bearings to help counterbalance it and figure out roughly, if you know the weight of one ball bearing, then you can calculate based on how many ball bearings you put on the other side of the weight or scale, how much weight is on the other side when you're weighing your gold and your silver and so forth and trying to figure out things. Because, that's an important thing to do, particularly if you're weighing gold nuggets and it's not in an actual coin as such. It might be a useful application. So a couple of minor uses for using your ball bearings. But good news is there is still more. You can put them in the corner of a door. Now make sure that you jam them into the door to stop the door from closing on you by accident. Usually not by accident, because it's usually going to be something that the Dungeon Master has cooked up. But yes, you can use them and jam them into the door and the door frame so that it can't close. Now, some door gaps are going to be very large, so you need to have the right size ball bearing. Other than that, you'll need to make sure you put them. They're going to be really good for a stone door with a very tight seal. A wooden door or a steel door might be a bit more difficult, particularly if there's a big gap at the bottom of the door. But for doors that have sort of a tight seal, could be very useful because, as we know, doors do suddenly close when we don't want them to, and therefore we want to keep them open. So jam it open. You could also, of course, use a piton to jam it open by just tapping it in there. You can jam up a lock. So maybe you're moving through a location, you close the door behind you, and you want to jam the lock up so somebody can't use a key to open it or get through it once you've locked it, or for whatever reason. So you get your ball bearings, and if the keyhole is large enough, you can drop your ball bearings in there and jam up the lock, making it unopenable. They're going to have to smash it. You're going to have to get something very, very hard and heavy and apply a lot of muscle to smash that lock open, because they're not going to be using a key anymore. And good luck with the thieves' tools, because that's probably not going to work either. Ha ha ha. You can use it as a source of metal, obviously, for your bullets. If you have a gun toting freak in your party, or somebody who is consistently using a sling. So I feel like this is a ready supply of very, very small bullets that you can hurl at a target, rather than getting your normal bullets that you would have for your sling. You can use your ball bearings. They're very small, therefore they might be a bit more difficult to fire out, but ball bearings, a musket or gun, if you use guns in your game, certainly another option. A ready supply there for you. You can use them as a tasty snack for distracting hungry rust monsters. You know, you don't want your armor gone, you don't want your weapons and swords and so forth eaten by them, so drop down some of these ball bearings, let them chew on those as you run away. And of course you want to sort of scatter them in an area so they take a little bit of time to eat all of the metal ball bearings. You can heat these things. Yes, that's right. You can heat these things, and you can also cool the metal of the ball and drop them into a drink to make yourself a heated or warm or hot drink, or chill your drink if you want a chilled beer in some way. I know what you're thinking, Fred, a lot of these things don't really sound like combat applications. Well, I didn't say I was going to provide you with options for using ball bearings in a combat simulation or situation, but I am providing you with some options, right? Yes. Okay, teleport. If you have the teleport ability, then you can teleport. Now this is really, really sick. Try teleporting that ball bearing into the brain of a monster. Going to require your dungeon master to play along with you. And then, of course, having a ball bearing or a number of ball bearings in your brain has got to be a really bad thing. I'm sure disastrous things happen when suddenly ball bearings are teleported into your brain. There's not really enough space for the brain anymore. There's bound to be a lot of brain hemorrhage and a whole lot of nasty things taking place. And of course, the monster will lose their marbles. And that's exactly what we want, right? Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Now you're wondering, why am I showing you Stonehenge? Well, as it happens, you can place a ball bearing on a very hard surface to move very heavy items. Now I have been told that the reason they were able to move the stones at Stonehenge is a result of ball bearings or very small pebbles. So essentially the same sort of thing, right? And they use them to roll them around along a hard surface. And now you can see there's grass everywhere. I'm not sure if that's exactly how Stonehenge was moved into position. I'm not really going to get into that, you know. Maybe they dragged them, who knows. But what I have been told and shown is that somebody actually uses ball bearings to move very heavy items with a series of planks of wood, ball bearings and so forth. You can actually move something that is way beyond your lifting capacity. You can shift it around fairly easily. You can even spin an entire building on a concrete pad. Now, concrete pad, what we need to have some sort of hard surface, whether that be marble, obviously rock would be useful, but things like wood, a little bit more difficult. And of course, if you've got a grassy surface, well, forget about it, because the ball bearings are just going to get buried into the grass and dirt, and that won't work. You can, this is rather sick, and that is you can cast heat metal on them and create a flameless heat source. You can also, by heating them, they then suddenly become a very hot item. Something, if you've got a target and that you can actually hurl these in some way with, say, mage hand, heated up ball bearings could be quite painful, because they are going to cause a bit of pain, right? Remember, just suggestions. I feel like this is probably more useful against small critters rather than very, very large critters. Who knows? This one really cracked me up. When I heard about this, I was like trying not to laugh, but I thought I would at least tell you about it, and that is, you can cast darkness on one of these, place it in your mouth, and every time you open your mouth, suddenly the darkness spreads around you and your group. and you are unseen. And when you need to see again, you close your mouth. This is pretty much providing you with mobile or moving concealment. How's that work for you? There's a big space around you that's just dark. Of course, you can't see where you're going, but that's why you open your mouth. You can now see where you're going, get your bearings, close your mouth again. What sort of action does it require you to actually take to open and close your mouth? I don't think there's much of anything required for that. So very, very cunning, and I thought that was rather amusing if you ask me. You can cast light on one of them and toss them into a dark room so you can see stuff. Of course, you could cast it on anything and toss it into a room, but ball bearing's still an option. There are, in fact, a range of spells that you can cast on an item or an object, and a ball bearing is a good example, which allow you to do all sorts of very peculiar and interesting things with your ball bearings. And of course, if you feel none of that's going to work, you can just stick with the player's handbook and go with, I'm going to drop them in the space that is allocated of 10 feet by 10 feet, and those creatures there now have to move through there as if it's difficult terrain, and they have to make a dexterity saving throw, otherwise they fall on their backside, which is always fine too. So make sure, if you're going to do that, you need to have a hard surface. Don't fall into the trap that Marisha Ray fell into, where there are little cracks that the ball bearings can get into. You need a nice hard surface. If they fall between the stonework, then it's not going to be very useful. You need a nice flat hard surface, otherwise not useful. Otherwise you're going to waste all of your ball bearings. Make sure to put them in a doorway, a narrow doorway, or in a narrow passageway to get optimal use out of your ball bearings. Okay, so that is it. I honestly think that Marisha Ray is correct. There are plenty of really good ways of using your ball bearings. Now, if you are suffering after seeing so many images of ball bearings, I do apologize. There's nothing I can do about it. It was actually in the title, so there is a reason why there were so many pictures of very small metal balls. Now, if you have any additional suggestions, make sure to let me know in the comments, because that's what it's there for. Make sure to put them there, because hopefully one day Marisha will see this video and she will know what to do with her ball bearings. I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters, which you're welcome to go and check out. It covers so many different aspects of the Dungeons & Dragons game. I'm sure you will find something useful. I have a Patreon page if you want to support and help me. I also have affiliate links to the Book Depository and Amazon down in the description. I also have a merchandise shelf, as it happens, which is sort of just a strip that's underneath the video. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I am live, and I'm live a lot, and when I publish and edit new videos, and that happens quite a lot too. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. And make sure to use your ball bearings. I'm not gone. I just need a drink of water, and I get my glasses on so I can actually see what you guys have written down in the chat. For those of you who are here, remember, if you have really clever ideas when the edited version goes up, make sure to type them into the comments section so people can use them. And then, of course, somebody's got to flick this over to Marisha Ray's Twitter so she knows how to use her ball bearings. Maybe I can do that, although I feel like coming from the fans is a better way, you know, rather than from somebody who actually made the video themselves. Okay, all right, so let's get back to my face. And thank you, Marisha, for a very interesting and entertaining topic. There will be more videos on Dungeons & Dragons equipment and how to use it in your game. I did actually get the community to put together quite a few notes on the topic, so you will find that the topic of Dungeons & Dragons adventuring gear is going to come up, pardon me, quite a bit. And of course, not always the case that Marisha has inspired me to do the video. Okay, so let's have a look here. I'm just looking down here. Scott, next thing you'll know, she'll come out. No, we're not going to do that. I'm going to keep the sleeves. It's really cold where I am. I can't go with a non-sleeve. It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm fine with Marisha doing it. Okay, so let's have a look. Make sure to go question if you have a question so I don't miss anything. So Scott's explained all that. Hi Matt, how's it going? Sector Black, here we go. I don't know. I don't think she has time to be right about anything because she spends most of it questioning Matt's rulings or trying to get preferential treatment. I don't know that necessarily is taking place. You can see the frustration it builds up in her quite a bit recently, but I think maybe that's a product of her ball bearing strategies being nerfed or just not working out quite the way, because a DC 10 is very easy to make. It's like having a secret door, and the DC to actually find the secret door, your perception check, is a DC 10, which is easy. It's not very easy, it's easy. So who makes a secret door that's easy to find? It's ridiculous. So maybe that's just part of the issue there. Okay, Matt, what if it's a dirty floor or the floor is uneven or to start with? Most dungeons used in ruins. Yeah, exactly. So of course it requires the dungeon master to sort of have an environment that's going to work for you. So it's not going to be useful all the time, which is why putting ball bearings on the ground is not the most useful application of the ball bearing, which is why I gave you a whole bunch of different suggestions. And Scott is right. Coltrips. Use those spiky things and put them on the ground. And if you don't have coltrops, then a D4 is going to do pretty much the same thing, as we all know. I'm sure you've stood on one before. Ball bearings would be cool if they came up with some rulings like dex save or something. There is a dexterity save. It's in the player's handbook. It's right here. I mean, I can read it out to you. But this has been the problem for Marisha and for a lot of people when they use this rule because essentially it requires a few different conditions to be in place for it to work, right? So if I read it out, as an action, you can spill these tiny metal balls from your pouch to cover a level square area that is 10 feet on a side. So that's 10 feet by 10 feet. A creature moves across the covered area, must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity saving throw or fall prone. It's not very easy, hard to be successful on that. A creature moving through the area at half speed doesn't need to make this save. So if they move through at half speed, then they're fine. So it's essentially making it difficult terrain. If they try to move through at normal speed, then they're going to make the dexterity save. So, but see, there's too many provisos in there to make it useful, which is why we needed different ways of making the ball bearings useful rather than just throw them on the ground. We can't always go home alone. Okay, the home alone technique's only going to work in the right place. You need those hard, polished floors. Matt, use Legos, step on one of those and instant death saving throw. Yes, I bet. Yeah, you need a bag of Lego men or just normal Lego blocks. It's got guns. Phew, not my game. Well, fair enough. Which is, like I said, just an option. Guns are bad. Well, I don't like guns myself, but I still put in the idea. I thought I would put it in there. I wasn't gonna censor the community's feedback. I do believe that my friend Simon did take out some of the more ridiculous ideas that were just silly. And although I wish he hadn't, because that would have been quite entertaining, I suspect. Guns can be horrible. Yes, they do. Yes. It needs a person usually at the other end for them to actually do that, though. And I'm not saying that I like guns. I'm in a country which really doesn't deal with guns. Okay, Matt, maybe a sling, another channel suggested using coins. Yes, yeah, firing coins, why not? Copper coins, what are you going to do with a copper coin? Could be done? Yeah, why not? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, they are great, yes. I missed the OP. What's this about? It is about using ball bearings and how to use ball bearings correctly or in interesting ways in your Dungeons and Dragons game. That's what it's all about. Okay. Multi-class ball bearings and the multi-class uses. Yeah, that's exactly it. You've got it. Marisha, fascination with balls. Hi, April. Okay, life back in the medieval days where they weren't round. Well, not everybody's Dungeons and Dragons fantasy world doesn't have guns, but we're not here to talk about firearms, are we? So don't worry about that. It's about ball bearings. Let's stay on track. Okay, so I'm to the bottom of the chat now. I just need to work my way to the bottom. Darren, it's fine. You don't have to have them. It's just a suggestion. Yes, space aliens. That's the one. Hi, Aaron. What's this? Ball bearings seem to have been used more in earlier editions of D&D, much like 10-foot poles. Yes, they were, and I feel like they still need to come back, which is why I make videos. I did a video on the use of the 10-foot pole because the 10-foot pole seemed to be excluded from adventuring gear, and there are so many uses for the 10-foot pole that a lot of people seem to forget about. So made a video on that topic. Yeah, and there will be more. The chalk one, yeah, going to be interesting. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I will get to it. Yes, right. Aaron does speak true, Darren. What's the AC for a ball bearing? I don't think it necessarily really matters, April. Why would you need to know what the AC for a ball bearing is? Just make it up. It doesn't have a high dex. It's just very small. Scott, I missed the 10-foot pole days. There were more killer traps back in those days. Yes, well, a lot of the traps now are designed to slow you down and chew up resources rather than to actually be an encounter in themselves. And sometimes a lot of the traps were designed not so much to kill a character, although they could, but to set them up for a bad situation where then monsters would arrive and capitalize on their bad situation. Just bring back more deadly traps into your game. Yeah, you can. I will do some traps eventually. We'll get there. But my traps are more like a skill challenge, so a little bit different. Too many uses and overuses for ball bearings. Okay, all right, so you didn't like the video. That's fine. Cast enlarge on some. Yes, that's right. I was actually going to say that. And roll them down a hall at enemies. Yes, well, why not? I was actually going to suggest casting enlarge, but I thought the video was getting long enough as it was, but it's a good point, Darren. Cast enlarge. I don't think casting reduce is going to be very helpful. It's already pretty small. Yeah. Caltrops are better if you throw them on the ground, but I'm saying that ball bearings can be used in other ways. I thought ball bearings were homebrew. My bad. No, they're not homebrewed. You like the video? Okay, good. Good, cool, excellent. They've been in various editions back to, yes, yep. Hi Fred, how's it going? F Hubba. We used to have all sorts of fun using ball bearings and caltrops. Yes, well, look, let's get real. If you get the right environment and floor surface, if you really want to throw your ball bearings on the ground, mix them up with caltrops and ball bearings, and that's really going to get tricky because caltrops themselves, you don't get a lot of them, so therefore you get a lot more ball bearings, and a mixture is going to really cause a whole bunch of problems. Yes, the hilarity, absolutely. Okay, so look, I've covered this. I'm going to take off very, very shortly for those of you who haven't got any more things to add. The live stream will go unlisted and be available to patrons later on, and the edited version I will get to eventually. My next video will be about, live stream will be about 1 p.m, hopefully, provided I get everything sorted out. and that will be covering the Red Brand Hideout. Yes, I know, the Red Brand Hideout. I haven't covered the topic, and I know I need to. So that video will be specifically about that. Okay, all right, so I will do my normal out since we are all but out and done and dusted and so forth. And we'll flick on over. We want to stick with the topic at hand. So have a good night, day, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And look after your family and friends and yourself. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.